Once again, we are back. What takes a licking and keeps college football ticking? I got to be talking about my Michigan Wolverines right here on the Big House Breakdown. Here we go. Oh, the good old days, the good old days. Talking about the blue and the maize. Welcome to the Big House Breakdown. All things Michigan football, NCAA football, CFB playoffs, and all of the rest of it. I'm your host, Vic. You are strapped in for an hour-long ride as we proceed to give you what you need with speed about the college world of football. You know what I'm saying? And what we like to do here is we like to give you no crap analysis, just getting after this, the great, great world of college football as it is, with a focus on everything Michigan Wolverine. So please tap in, join in. Come on through. The water's fine. We got you for this hour-long ride. This is how we do when we talk about the maize and blue. We here for that. We here for this week. Yeah, man. We here to talk about the Oklahoma game review and the Central Michigan preview on Big House Breakdown. I'm your host, Vic. I would like for anybody watching to jump in, join in. There's your call letters below 6FFISN 8HFF. Come on through so we can do what we got to do and have this really great discussion about college football on the bright side. No crap analysis, just getting after this. You might say to yourself, what is crap analysis? It's all the nonsense coming from the talking bobbleheads on ESPN and Fox and all of the football, all of the paid commercial football outlets where you have the analysts, and they sound cute and they sound informational and statty and sound like they know what they're talking about. But I guarantee you, man, they haven't played 2 decades of football, coached 2 decades of football, and gotten many Division One athletes into the sport like I have. So if you want it real, you want it with no crap analysis, just getting after this real information about football, you need to tune into the Big House Breakdown. And hey, you could be a fan, and even if you are a content creator, please, anybody who roots for the maize and blue, anybody that really loves the world of college football, please come on through and let's make it happen. You know what I mean? We are here for you. We are here to talk. We are here to give that other edge of college football that no one wants to talk about, no one really wants to acknowledge. Maybe another dimension of X's and O's that we can get to. And we are going to do that. But first, we're going to talk about college football's outstanding players and outstanding performances from week 2 that is in the books already. And of course, my Michigan Wolverines took the L in the college football landscape in week 2. Their endeavors going and playing the Oklahoma Sooners did not turn out the way I wanted it to. And we'll talk about that too. We'll get into that as well because that deserves a microscopic or at least a review. Um, it deserves a review of what happened the week before. I'm putting these stats. I'm trying to grab these stats while I'm talking to you and introing the show. And I believe I have it. So, outstanding players, week 2, college football. You got, give me 1 second. Okay. You got Byron Brown, quarterback, South Florida, passed for 329 yards, 66 on the ground, leading South Florida to an upset victory over Florida. That's big for that South Florida program. Sawyer Robinson, quarterback Baylor, threw for 440 joints, 4 touchdowns in Baylor's double overtime win against SMU. Good on Baylor. Josh Cameron, 151 yards receiving, 2 tutties. Ashton Hawkins, Baylor, receiver, caught 10 passes for 154 yards. John Mateer, of course, in a 24-13 win over Michigan, passed for 270 yards and rushed for 74. Justice Haynes, Michigan, rushed for 125 yards on 19 carries, including a 75-yard touchdown run. Corian Moore, Oregon, earned the 24/7 True Sports Freshman of the Week with 69 receiving yards, 25 rushing yards, 15 return yards, including 65 and 25 in Oregon's victory over Okie State. Julian Sand, 18 of 19 passes for 300 yards plus 1 interception with the Buckeyes' 70-0 win over Grambling. Colin Matson secured the game-winning interception and had 3 pass breakups. An Army's 24-21 upset over Kansas State, of all things. You know what I'm saying? He limited the Kansas State quarterbacks to a 5.2 passer rating when targeted. Crazy, man. Dejon Brett of Tulsa, 3 pressures, 2 runs, 2 stops, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, earned the Edge Defender of the Week honors, 97.5 total football focus. Jacob Rodriguez, 6 tackles, 5 run stops, 1 forced fumble, earned the Defender of the Week honors from Pro Football Focus. Jaden Johnson, 1 interception, 1 pass breakup, 90.0 in pass coverage. Jackson Benet, 2 pass breakups, 1 interception, 91.1 rating overall. And there were some teams that, climbed a little bit. They moved around in the ladder. South Florida, of course, they had to win over Florida. Ohio Buckeyes moved up into AP poll with their decisive victory over Grambling. Oregon climbed up 2 spots. Oklahoma climbed up 2 spots. Baylor moved up 10 spots to 28. Florida State, who upset Bama in week 1, rose 7 spots in the coaches poll to 12. And Tennessee, despite allowing 26 points to Syracuse, the Volunteers moved up in the rankings despite what was going on. You know what I mean? So that was week 1 in a nutshell. So, we can take a closer look at week 1 in the standings, right? So this is what week 1 looks like in the standings. Ohio State at 1, Penn State at 2, LSU at 3, Oregon at 4, Miami at 5, Georgia at 6, Texas at 7. Let's see, Notre Dame at 8, Illinois, excuse me, at 9, Florida State at 10. As we go, South Carolina at 11, Clemson at 12, Oklahoma at 13, Iowa State at 14. Good on Iowa State. Tennessee at 15. Um, Texas A&M 16. Ole Miss 17. South Florida 18. Alabama 19. How the mighty have fallen. Utah at 20. And as we round out the top 25, Texas Tech at 21. Indiana at 22. Michigan, my Michigan Wolverines at 23. Auburn at 24, and Missouri at 25. Yeah, man. So let us know where you at with that. Do you agree? Do you not agree? Does that 25 make sense to you? Doesn't it? Um, what type of picture does that set for the rest of the season? Because it's not too early for the Heisman watch. That's right, the Heisman watch, right? So Fox has put together the Heisman watch, and John Mateer made the list. And even after, how this is like crap analysis, because even after the week one wet the bed incontinent boo boo that Arch Manning took playing Ohio State, he still made the Heisman list. So you got Garrett Nussmeier as the second running for the Heisman, Carson Beck, third running in for the Heisman at this point, South Carolina quarterback Lenora Sellers as the fourth runner, and then here we go, the golden boy, Arch Manning coming in at fifth in the Heisman watch. So, you know, that's if you care. That's if it makes a difference to you. It makes a difference to me because then they'll try to put these people up as the poster boy for college football. They're unbeatable. They can't do no wrong. And in the first week of football, we saw Arch Manning do a lot of wrong. And he's still in the running. So who you working for? Who paying you? Right? Booby Miles, right? So go check out that movie, one of Derek Luke's finest movies as a young man. Um, check that movie out, real dope football movie. Talk to us, jump in here, let us know what you think about the start to the college football season. We are in week 3. We are heading into week number Trey. You know what I mean? So on the Big House Breakdown, we like to do it this way. We showed you the top 25. We talked about the outstanding performances of college football week 2. We showed you the Heisman watch, and now we're going to show you if the college football playoffs were today, this is how the field would look. Let me remove the call letters of the show. You guys can still participate and come on in. You just got to go to my Facebook page or to my Instagram page and get the link. I'll make it as a ticker as we go on. So if the college football players were today, college football playoff were today, excuse me, college football playoff were today, this is what your field will look like. Penn State would get the bye. Ohio State would get the bye. Miami would get the bye. LSU would get the bye. And filling out the brackets would be Baylor, Georgia. Baylor would play Georgia. Notre Dame would play Texas Tech. Oklahoma would play Oregon. And Florida State would play Texas. And there is a kind of a sequential way that this plays out, a foil, if you will, right? Let me get the other one up here for you guys to see. So this foils out rather interestingly, and this is how it foils out. Penn State plays Ohio State. Miami plays LSU. This is way too Homer-ish for me. Like, have some creativity already. You know what I'm saying? Don't just, put all the dudes in the first bracket and then pick them all to make the second field. Crazy. So Penn State loses to Ohio State. LSU beats Miami, and then you would have Oklahoma, LSU in the college football championship game down in Tennessee. You know, crazy, man. I mean, you got to be more creative than that. Brad Crawford. And this is why I say no crap analysis. We just getting after this real football information, because this is what you'll get. You'll always get the same old rigmarole with no real change ups. And we know that everybody out there, I had sons that played Division One football. I put many athletes in Division One football, and as a coach, so all those players can play their tails off. I've been involved with many 7-on-7 tournaments. I travel with my sons to be involved with 7-on-7 tournaments. These are all ballers. It doesn't matter if you're going to, Elbow Tech or you're going all the way up to LSU. It doesn't matter. They all ball. They were all good, and they all played each other in these 7-on-7 events. And they all, beasted on each other at one point or another. There's a lot of parity out there. So for you to give me the same old as the college football playoff prediction, that means, you got some skin in the game. But we continue. So the biggest games of week 3 coming up, you got Georgia Tech playing Clemson. You got you a Georgia Bama. You got you a Georgia Clemson matchup. You got Georgia playing Texas. That's a big rivalry right there. They take it back to that, bang heads of an event. Then you got Baylor taking on Miami. Miami is an upstart, but that is a Florida kind of crucial. That's like the old Florida State Miami game. That used to be an event. They used to play that game the beginning of every football season. When Florida State was really good, when Miami was really good. And that would decide who owned the state of Florida that particular year. Then you have LSU taking on Florida. DJ Lagway, he wants to come back from a bad performance. And then you have Notre Dame with the upstart QB and Texas A&M trying to get back in stride again. Not just for this year, but for yesteryear. Because, they don't, that program is trying to rebound for a very, very long time. They recruit well, but for some reason the program just doesn't amount the wins that they need to move on. Yeah, man. So once again, we invite you to come through. We are going to make this a banner, StreamYard.com, 6FFISN, 8HFF. We want to hear from you. Tap in, chime in. Let us know how the water feels. Come and talk your ish about the world of the CFB college football, as it were. And let us know what you think about the sport, just like we're going to do today. Yeah, man. So I'm very high on my Michigan Wolverines. Been a Michigan Wolverine fan since the early 80s when Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback of the team. It was really 360 full circle to see him come back and coach the team and win a national championship. We're trying to reclaim those glory days with this, team 146, loaded with talent, trying to find their way. And they played a team in Norman, Oklahoma called the Sooners. And if you didn't see my preview game on that, you should go check it out. It was very thorough. No crap analysis. We just got after this. Real football information. And what I said was actually true. But Michigan, the predictions I made, the weaknesses that I saw in the Alabama team were accurate. I don't want to start pointing them out right now. I will in a minute as we continue the review of this. But for the most part, Michigan didn't take advantage of things that I made very, very apparent in the game about Oklahoma as a team. Uh, Michigan showed some weaknesses, some things that they have to work on. So let's go with the good, right? So the good about the game, Michigan, right, was the defense. The defense held a very prolific offense, or what's turning into a prolific offense of Oklahoma's to only 14 points, two-score game for the most part of the game, right? For three quarters, we kept them under wraps. And then, of course, your defense gets winded. You're out there too long. Couple of injuries, couple of dehydration situations with players, and the game, matriculated into 24 points. Now the bad. Now, while the offense wasn't all bad, um, there were some really low points in the offense. The rushing game to me wasn't one of them. And I actually thought that if Michigan leaned into the running game a little bit more, that's actually the recipe for keeping a prolific offense off the field. Michigan scored 14 points running the football, and I think they should have stuck with it. I think they should have made it a old slobber knocker game. I think Michigan let the momentum of Oklahoma move them in directions they didn't want to go into, as far as you know, the way that the momentum of the game shifted, and the way that the matriculation of the game took place. And then by the time another field goal was kicked in the fourth quarter, early fourth quarter, the game got out of hand. And the reason I'll say that is this. There's been many, uh, we're on the bad, right? So we talked about the good, which was the running game and the defense. But the bad part of Michigan was the passing game. I don't know, man. I think Michigan should have had a better game plan for Bryce. I didn't see as many RPOs. I don't know if they ran one RPO. Maybe that was because a big part of their RPO game is predicated on the tight end, Klein, and Klein didn't play. So that took something out of their sales for what they do with the RPO. But I think the RPO would have been a weapon against um, Oklahoma. And Bryce didn't see it. As good as Bryce is, as talented as he is, he's the future at the quarterback position for Michigan football over this year and the next 2 years to come. But I think he's still a real young, true freshman and just did not see it. And not that the throws weren't there, but they were just not where they were supposed to be. Sometimes he's a little too technical with where he places the ball. Sometimes he may need to be a little more patient, let his receivers do what they need to do instead of taking that 1, 2, 3 step drop, 2.7 seconds, and releasing the ball. I saw a lot of that during the game. And that's very indicative of a young man that wants to do everything right. And football is a big sport of improvisation. Improvisation, right? You got to get out there and create, right? You got to be like a painter. You got to paint outside of the line sometimes, Bryce. Not that you had a super bad game, wasn't your best game. And I also said in my preview about the Oklahoma Michigan game was that the QB that could get their team, the coach that could get their QB settled down the fastest and playing within the scheme of the game plan would be the victorious team. And it wound up being John Mateer and the Oklahoma Sooners. Not that John Mateer was fantastic. He was throwing off platform a lot. That's why he got picked off by TJ Metcalf. That's why he had a lot of errant throws. But he did do some great things. He's got a Johnny Manziel type of thing happening with him. He can launch that. He can throw a moon ball if he needs to. But he was the better quarterback that day. I'm not quite sure what Wink Martindale was doing with his rush in the first quarter. I think the jump. I also said in my preview that the team that could jump out to an early lead, control momentum of the game, would be the team that won the game in this battle of the blue blood Titan heavyweights, which it was. Now Michigan did some great things on offense and defense, but Oklahoma jumped out to an early 2-point lead in the game, and that made the difference. They rolled that 2-point lead. They converted much more third downs than Michigan did. Michigan only converted 3 of 11 third downs. Oklahoma converted over 70% of their third downs against a defense that brought a lot of people back. They had a lot of defensive players that returned. So I didn't expect that to happen. I thought Michigan would be much more, aggressive with their front. And it seemed like they waited till the second half to get more aggressive with their front. And I think that was a mistake. They gave Oklahoma the aggression edge. Oklahoma jumped out to a 2-point or 2-score lead. And that's all she wrote. Michigan is playing catch up from then. Now the ugly. The ugly is a 5.0 continuation of the bad. Bryce just didn't see it. Bryce didn't see it. And you got a lot of crap analysis from, a lot of podcasters that gave their opinion on the game. Talking bobblehead, sports commentators that talked a lot about the game. I thought they missed the entire point. Everyone wanted Bryce to run. Hey, run Bryce, run Bryce. Yes, I think Bryce could have ran a couple times. I think Bryce had some opportunities, especially when they went jumbo. I think Bryce had some opportunities to do the read option and get out there and show his athleticism as a running quarterback. But that wasn't the reason why they didn't give Bryce the green light to do more read option and more quarterback-led runs. The reason why they didn't give Bryce, the reason why Chip Lindsey didn't give Bryce the reason to do, or the green light to do more quarterback-based runs, was because his head wasn't in the game. He was there. He was flinging it. He was trying to muscle the quarterback position. And you can't do that. You got to see it. So while he's not afraid, while he's very confident, young freshman, while he can get that ball out in 2.7 seconds, he's really good at those things. He could spin that thing like nobody's business, probably put a dent in a car with the way he throws that ball. Has good touch, has great velocity on the ball. All things that make freshman quarterbacks truly great. But you have to be able to, against mixed coverage, whether they playing 3 deep, whether they playing, cover 2, whether they playing quarters, whether they playing roll coverage, you have to be able to see it. Your eyes got to go in the right places. Pre-snap and a second post-snap, so you can understand what the defenses are in, what they're trying to do, and what they're trying to bait you into doing. And he missed it a lot. He missed a lot of reads. He missed about 4 times. He missed some reads. Like there was a particular play when Michigan had a trip set going on in the first quarter, and they were in a man zone look. Man over the trip side, zone over the single receiver side. They were 3-1. And Samaj was swinging out on a bubble, and he had 2 blocks ahead of him. Now, you could have hit him, or you could have hit the post, or the quick post run by Donovan McCulley. And he totally missed it. He totally missed that read. Then there was some plays in the second and third quarter where he could actually score. There was, like I said, offensively, Michigan was 3 of 11 on third down. So that means at the time when they needed Bryce to throw and be very involved in the game and very accurate and push the sticks, throw those dimes, he missed his opportunities because he wasn't reading the field well. And we don't read the field well because you got freshman eyes and freshman energy going on. You got that adrenaline pumping, and you're nervous about going out there and playing well. You don't want to make mistakes, which to his credit was good because after 2 games against 2 opponents, he threw no interceptions and had no fumbles and only took a couple of sacks. So he's doing what he needs to do to protect the ball. So you can only go up from there, right? As a quarterback, as you're looking as you're evaluating your quarterback. Did he turn over the ball? No. So he didn't give Oklahoma extra possessions. Our defense just couldn't get them off the field on third down in the first quarter. But back to Bryce. Bryce did not see 2. He did not see 3 as it was cover 3 as it was disguised. He didn't see 2 as it was disguised. He didn't see rolling coverage as it was disguised. And he couldn't tell where the Jokers and the Raiders and the Blitzes were coming from. So he knew where his hot reads were coming from. Like there was a play where Samaj Morgan, our slot receiver, got the heart of a lion, but the body of Wes Welker. He streaked up the field on an 8 route, a seam route, blew past their cheetah linebacker. Bryce didn't even see him. Didn't see him. And I know when you go back into the quarterback meeting room and then you see Samaj blow past that cheetah linebacker that Oklahoma was featuring, the one that plays nickel, that's responsible for guarding your best slot receiver, which is Samaj Morgan. He kicked himself. He was really upset with himself. Really upset with himself because he had an open. If he let him, that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. Because I believe they were in an even look. They were 2-on-2 as far as receiver set goes. They were 2-on-2 to the boundaries. And Samaj screamed past that linebacker. And because of the rush or however Bryce was processing that particular play, didn't see it. Then there was a stalk in release, because that might have been either a big play or a touchdown that Samaj released up the field. So, and then there was Donovan McCulley was on their freshman corner. I believe it was either number 9 or 19, one of their numbers, but he was on their freshman corner. And a little while in the first half, Bryce was stalking him hard and grabbing him up and bullying him. Because, Donovan McCulley is 6'5", and that corner is about 5'11", 6 feet. I think they might have even embellished about how tall the kid is. He might be 6'1" at the most. And Donovan McCulley was bullying this dude and stalk blocking for the run game. And then Chip Lindsey calls the stalk and release play. So the receiver goes up, pretends like they're stalking the corner for a run block, and then releases. Now, normally, you want the outside because the corner is playing inside technique most of the time. But in this particular way that it wound up, the corner got thrown off by Donovan McCulley to the outside. Bryce threw the ball outside and away. Oh my gosh. Touchdown. Because they were in the red zone. And if you run that play, if Bryce pats the ball one more second, he would have saw that Donovan McCulley got wide open on the stalk and release. He was in the end zone looking around. And you can see it because they showed it on the replay. They showed it on the big cam replay. And they showed McCulley's face like that. I was there. So that's 2 touchdowns. At least 2 big pass plays, if not touchdowns. But I believe they would have been 2 touchdowns, right? And then there was a wheel route by Hogan Hansen, the Michigan tight end. Klein wasn't playing. He's the starting Michigan tight end, number 17. So Hogan Hansen played in his place. Really good pass catching tight end. They brought the wheel route out of a 12 personnel look, which was very good on Chip Lindsey. Great play design, right? He was wide open on Oklahoma's side of the field. Wide open. Bryce throws to the slant route. Didn't see it. So and then there was another play where what do you call that? What's his name? Channing Goodwin, the Michigan number 2 receiver or the Z receiver, right? No, sorry, the wide receiver. Sorry, the wide receiver streaking up the sideline and didn't see Channing Goodwin. So I know when he goes back into the film room and he actually sees these mistakes, he's gonna have a fit with himself, and he's gonna have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of slow singing and flower bringing for Bryce this week, a lot of apologizing, you know, a lot of explaining to do, like Lucy. Lucy, you got some explaining to do. Probably just, you got to give the young man some grace. It was his first major showdown of epic proportion against a major team. His adrenaline was probably pumping out his chest. He was probably nervous not to turn the ball over. He ran the play the way the play was designed many, many times. And in football, you have to, read your progressions, be patient with what develops, and go where the play develops. Um, and he did that a couple of times and it didn't work. So then I guess he said to himself, he did that on some drag routes that didn't really materialize. So after those things happened, I guess he said to himself, hey, you know what? Let me go ahead and just run the play. It's a tough environment. I don't want to make a mistake. I can hardly hear in my headset. They're going crazy right now in Norman with the crowd. And they were. Let me run the play the way the play is designed. And no shade to him. He was a step for quarterback. He ran the plays the way the plays were designed. But sometimes it's the second or the third or the impromptu read that you have to make in order to make all the difference. So that's what it is, man. Bryce didn't see it. So all these people with the crap analysis, all these talking bobbleheads, all these sports media coverage people that said, run Bryce, fire Sharon, Chip don't know what he's doing, let Chip cook. I'm sure Chip cooked, but once him and Sharon talked, once Chip and Sharon talked, they're not going to kill the kid's confidence in game. They're not going to do that. But what they may have said was he's not seeing it tonight. So we're going to have to design a game where we make the game simple for him and lean on our identity as a running game, as a running team. We're going to have to smash and get out of here as best as possible. And then, of course, when Jayshon Barham comes back in the third quarter, they begin to slow Oklahoma's offense down, drive after drive after drive, and Bryce Underwood still didn't see these wide open opportunities. Way too into the game, way too focused on not making errors at the quarterback position. Good news though, great news. He's got a chance to redeem all of that against a Central Michigan team this week that is coming to town. And because we got this crazy home away schedule. But this Central Michigan Chippewa team is coming to town. He can rebound off of his mistakes from last week and just let his natural talent flourish because the blue chip ratio of us to the Chippewas is that much greater. We should win the game running away. So let's get to our breakdown of the matchup of the Central Michigan Chippewas versus my Michigan Wolverines. And just because I'm in the midst of giving my breakdown of the game the Michigan game of the week, it doesn't mean that you guys can't jump in, call in, make comments, come on in the chat room, and we can talk about any of the week 3 matchups that are available this week that are going to headline the week's games. And we could talk about that ad nauseum if you want, man. This is a college football sports talk show focused on the Michigan Wolverines. So let's get to it. So here we go. We're here for this today. Michigan versus Central Michigan. In-state rivalry. for bragging rights throughout the state until Michigan plays Michigan State. And we're here for just that. So, matchup wise, right? So, let's go to matchups, right? Because I'm not going to do a whole lot of graphics this week like I did last week with the matchups. So, matchups, right? Because we want to see who has the matchup edge. Well, of course, Bryce is going to have the matchup edge because of his blue chip ratio over the talent, and they're talented, but they're playing quarterback by committee right now in Central Michigan. They have uh, Joe Labus, they have Angel Flores, and they have Jaden Glasser. And they're letting them play it out. They're letting them battle it out in real time, live during these games. You'll see all three of those quarterbacks come in and do something a little bit different. You'll see uh, Joe Labus come in and do some quick game. You'll see Flores come in and do some things. And then what was the other young man's name? Was it Gladen? Let's see if I remember right. Glazer. You'll see Glazer or Glasser come in. Somebody let me know from Central Michigan. Is it Glazer or Glasser? Either one. You'll see all three of those quarterback by committee come in against them. I watched the game where they played San Diego State on the All 22, and I also watched the game where they played Pitt. Now Pitt has a blue chip ratio that far outseeds, out succeeds Central Michigan. So in the second half, they just became way too much for Pittsburgh. But I'm going to get a little deeper in my analysis than just blue chip ratio and might of each team. I'm going to tell you what's going on with them, how they look on offense, some of the things. So let's get back to matchups. Quarterback, edge Michigan. Running back with Law and Order, Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall, edge Michigan. O line, just based on pedigree. They didn't play like it last week, but just based on pedigree, our O line is better. A bunch of four chippers and five blue chippers. Receivers, ours is better. And also edge on D line. Our D line way out succeeds their D line in blue chip ratio and in athleticism based on two games. Our linebackers dwarf their linebackers in productivity and talent. Thank you for the big up, ball player Luck. I appreciate you, man. Welcome to the Big House Breakdown. All things college football and the Michigan, with a focus on the Michigan Wolverines. We're talking about the matchup edge between Central Michigan and Michigan Wolverines. So I did D line, the linebackers I did, and our secondary is definitely more talented than um, Central Michigan's secondary. So just overall, Michigan dominates the matchup edge um, in that regard. So now let's head on to the eye in the sky. The eye in the sky, basically based on what I did last week. The eye in the sky is basically um, the health, synergy, and character of each team. So Central Michigan Chippewas is a gritty team. They're not going to give up. They're going to battle you all the way into the fourth quarter until they know that there's no other way to win the game. They're going to continuously battle you, continuously be gritty. They're well coached that way. They just don't have the talent. Character wise, they fly to the ball, they gang tackle. They're not as talented on that edge, but they are coached in the fundamental things that make a defensive ball club successful, an offensive ball club successful. And so we got, and the pulse of the team is, they lost two games to start their season. They're 0-2. And, they have some things going on. They got a transfer from Tulane. The what's the young man's name? The running back. I believe his name is um let's see. Let's go to my notes. Cordis. Trey Cordis and Biggins. Those are their two running backs. Talented kids. Trey Cordis is a transfer from Tulane. Biggins is their running back. They can run the ball. They can give you that short burst. They can give you those spurts. They can hit the hole if you're not playing, sound run fits against the run. So they're talented that way. The QBs aren't afraid to scramble, get in the fight, as they say, as you climb up in the pocket, as you climb up into action to deliver a pass. Their QBs are not afraid to do that, even though they're playing by committee. It's quarterback by committee for them, running back by committee for them. So if a lot of the talking bobbleheads would like to say that particular team needs an identity, I wouldn't say Michigan needs identity. And how can you be missing identity, Joe Klatt, in just 2 games? None of these teams in college football know who they are after 2 games. They don't know if they're really great at running. They don't know if they're really great at passing. They don't know if they're really great at stopping a run or defending a pass. It's only been 2 weeks. In college football, pardon the little motorcycle noise outside, college football does not have a preseason. So the good news is Michigan gets to go against a cupcake this week that I'd like to call them in Central Michigan. They get a chance to right the ship. So offensively, what do I see about um, Central Michigan? They do some things really well, man. They have some outstanding players. They have number 12, uh, uh, Kawasowski. I don't want to butcher this boy's name, but he's a baller. He's a baller. He dropped back in the cover six, picked off the Pittsburgh quarterback. That boy is dope. Number 2 and number 3 are talented DBs on their defense, but in being talented DBs, they take chances. So you can catch them out there. You can get to them because they're DBs that are not afraid to get into the action and try to jump a route or two. 97 Heldman, really good at rushing the passer. So our offensive, our tackles this week still have a job ahead of them. Still have a job ahead of them. And the way that you beat a team with a really great pass rush is you run the football. You make them tired running the football, right? They got some DBs that are active, but in one-on-one coverage, they could be beat. And they suffer against the deep ball. They can get got with the deep ball. The fades, the corner routes, the free releases in the slot. They can get torched doing that. So that's what they look like on defense, and then on offense, um, their O line is their Achilles heel. So that would be another good way for our D line this week to really rebound from last week. I'm not sure what our health is. Michigan coaches really don't give that up, but Central Michigan under pressure when you scheme against their O line with stunts and twists and linebacker blitzes and all the things that you need to show, they don't do well under consistent pressure. Um, it breaks down under constant pressure. And I think that really bodes well for what Michigan likes to do. You just can't let a team like this that's gutsy, has a lot of heart. You can't give them the idea that they could stay in the game with you. If you give them the idea that they're going to stay in the game with you, then you're going to have a 4-quarter game on your hands. You got to get up on them early, get up on them fast, beat them into submission with the running game in the second quarter, score a couple of times in the first quarter, beat them into submission in the second quarter, start putting in your subs in the third, but still impose your will on them with your offensive line and defensive line, your front. Michigan is supposed to be a team that wins on the line. We got to show it this week. And it would be great practice against a Nebraska team that's coming up next week to have a successful outing on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. So that's the eye in the sky. For Michigan to win, solid running game. Bryce needs to connect on some fundamental pass routes and get the ball in the end zone a couple of times, I believe. I believe he should throw to his tight end a couple of times if Klein is available. I believe Samaj needs to get in the end zone, and so does Donovan McCulley this week. I think if those two can get in the end zone and Klein can keep the numbers and the chains moving, we'll have a great performance out of Bryce this week. He needs his team to help him move on as a better QB. Defensively, we got to clean up the deep ball issues. We may see Shamari Earl, our blue chip cornerback, number one corner in the nation, recruited corner in the nation from last year. We may see him come in the game because if Zeke Berry can't go, because Zeke Berry pulled up with some issues. Let's hope it's just hydration and cramp related. Either way, Shamari Earl needs to be out there. He needs to be, lending his talents to the secondary. Secondary has to have a better day than last week. They had a better second half, as opposed to the first half, but we need a better overall showing from our secondary. And that's how they'll win. Now, let's go to Fuego takes and crap analysis, right? And that Fuego takes, I think Michigan wins this game running away. I think they beat, one second. I think they beat Central Michigan 35-3. I think they put 5 joints up. I think they put 3 up passing, 2 running. I think both running backs score and get out of the game, and we may even see, what's the running back? The speedy running back. Shoot. His name will come back to me. The speedy running back from Michigan who came from Bishop Gorman High School. We may even see him come into the game and get some reps, and a couple of our reserves get some reps. So 2 rushing, 3 passing. I think Michigan has a real balanced day tomorrow. They play at 12 noon on the Big Ten Network, probably because of the caliber of team that they're playing, which bodes well for Michigan. Michigan plays much better in the big noon kickoff than they do at night. That worried me a lot as well. I don't know why that's the case, but Michigan perennially is a better afternoon team than an evening team. So that should help. Big House should be rocking. And also, what we want to see is as the game moves on, I would keep Bryson to the end of the third quarter, and I would work on some matriculating pass concepts. I would start out in the first quarter with some fundamental things, so maybe some RPOs, and then build on that in the passing game. Build on that into the bigger and more expansive depth throws for Bryce. Maybe some, extended drag routes that he can complete. When Bryce is rolling out, I would really love for him to set his feet and throw a good ball. Because when he's in the pocket and he can step into his throws, his throws are immaculate. But when he's on the run and he doesn't set his feet and he doesn't square his shoulders, not so much. So his torque isn't what it's supposed to be. And that part of his game will get better over time. But for now, let's build the matriculation and depth of his throws. And, I would just love to see the defense play a clean game. Just play a clean game. I don't think Wink Martindale needs to experiment as much with the starters on defense. I think he needs to keep his first string starters out there till mid third quarter. See what shape the game is in, and then you can start putting the Jaden Sanders in and the Ogdens and the Tevis Metcalfs and all the rest of them in the game, because then at that point the game is in hand, and then you can work on the health and reps of some of your depth on the squad. So I don't see a way that Michigan loses this game. I think we're just way too more talented. Our blue chip ratio is much bigger and broader and more which makes us more talented than Central Michigan. But we need to clean some things up. We need to clean it up, and this is the team that we clean house on. Sorry, Central Michigan. Sorry that that's what you become. You become the cleanup team, but that's what it will turn out to be. So that's gonna kind of do it for today's episode. Our our review of the Oklahoma game and our preview of the Central Michigan game. We want you to jump in and be a part of the Big House Breakdown, college football's kind of every week analysis of where we are with college football, the games that matter, with a focus on the Michigan Wolverines. I'm your host, Vic. I want you to come through, spread this around, share the show, like, share, and subscribe. Turn on your comments so every time we have a Big House Breakdown, you too can join and we can have an Fuego discussion on the world of college football as it is on the Big House Breakdown. See you next time. We're here every Friday. A2 crew, stand up. Let's be there for one another. Come on through. Timestamp anything that you think that I said that made sense. The good, the bad, the ugly of it all. Give it on back in the comments. See you on Sunday when we do our review, post-game review of the game that was Michigan versus Central Michigan. Peace.